The UFC's return to Chicago and one of the biggest and most anticipated fights of 2025 is in the books. UFC 319 was headlined by a massive bout, with the hyped and talented Khamzat Chimaev finally fighting for a world title, where he would be taking on the tough and confident Dricus du Plessis. This was alongside a card full of fun fights, including the debuting Aaron Pico taking on Lerone Murphy. Could UFC 319 deliver on the hype? Let's find out. This is the Fight Franchise and the recap and review of UFC 319. The first fight of the night was a finale from TUF 33, where Alibi Idris was taking on Joseph Morales, where Morales came out big early, where Idris was looking for takedowns, where Morales' overall game was seeing him come out on top on the feet and on the ground, where Morales threatened the sub at the end of round 1 where the bell rang. Round 2, Morales pressured forward, landing big on Idris, where Idris went for a takedown, and after an exchange in the grappling, Morales ended up on his back. However, this wasn't an issue, syncing up a triangle to get the great win and become a tough winner in an amazing fun fight. Next up, a women's flyweight bout where Karine Silva took on Diana Barbosa, where the first round Barbosa did the better in round 1, where she did great with her shots and grappling, but round 2 and 3 Silva did the better with her striking and also did good reversing grappling and threatened with strikes and submissions, where Silva won the close decision. Next up, a featherweight bout where Drakkar Klose took on Edson Barboza, where in the first round Barboza did the better with the striking, where he was handling Klose's grappling. The second round, however, Klose was doing better fighting back, landing big, and won round 2. Round 3 was competitive and back and forth and could have gone either guy's way, where the decision went to Drakkar Klose in a close bout that brought the end to the early prelims. The prelims started with the bout with Chase Hooper on the best run of his career taking on Alexander Hernandez, where both men had a super fun fight where on the feet both guys traded, where the Ranger Hooper was having success landing. However, after 2 minutes of the first round, Hernandez started landing and the round became competitive, where with 15 seconds left in the first round, Hernandez landed a huge shot which dropped Hooper, where Hernandez followed up with shots with the ref stepping in. To be honest, I think Hooper would have survived 2 more seconds and gone into the second round, but a great finish to start the prelims by Hernandez. Next up, a women's strawweight bout where Jessica Andrade took on Lupi Godinez, where Godinez started great in the first 2 rounds, where Godinez's striking was too dynamic for Andrade, where Andrade was landing shots but they wasn't the cleanest. However, round 3, Andrade fought back well in a scrappy round, but it wasn't enough, where Godinez won the decision in a fun fight. Next up, Gerald Meerschaert was facing Mikhail Alislaychuk, where it was a 1-round fight where the slow and hesitant Meerschaert was being pieced up on the feet while getting his takedown attempts stuffed. Meerschaert got dropped where he got back up, where Alislaychuk landed a great combination, dropping Meerschaert, where Alislaychuk followed with ground and pound and got the TKO. A great win for Mikhail Alislaychuk, who will be looking up the middleweight rankings. The final fight of the prelims was Bysankor Susurkayev, who won on Dana White's Contender Series 4 days prior, was making his main roster debut against short notice Eric Nolan, where both men had a fun scrap where Susurkayev was overly confident, landing shots with Nolan landing back. It was back and forth and a fun scrap where at the end of round 1 Nolan landed big, stumbling Susurkayev and rocking him at the end of round 1. Round 2, Susurkayev still came out confident, where he continued pushing forward and trading, where he started getting kicks off and after landing a kick to the body followed up with leg kicks which hurt Nolan, where Susurkayev got the takedown and got the choke, and the win where he delivered on his hype, staying undefeated, getting the win but had moments of struggle. Credit to Nolan, who 100% deserves a proper bout in the UFC with time to prepare. That brought the end to some fun prelim action. The main card started with a flyweight bout with Kai Asakura returning since his loss to Pantoja, where he was taking on Tim Elliott, which was looking to be Asakura's coming out party to the UFC audience. Asakura did great in the first round, throwing big shots, with Elliott using his awkward style to land and do work on Asakura, where Asakura won round 1 and was looking like he was on track to a performance we had seen from him in Ryzen. Round 2, Elliott was becoming difficult to deal with, where he was landing on Asakura, who was having less success, where Elliott got the takedown with Asakura getting up only to go down again, where Elliott was working Asakura's guard, where he cinched up the guillotine and got the tap in an excellent win for Elliott, who shows he still got it. A tough loss for Asakura, who is looking like his hype isn't what it was made out to be. Next up, Michael Venom Page was fighting way up the middleweight rankings versus Jared Cannonier, where Venom Page was way too elusive and quick on the outside for Cannonier, who was too slow getting to the shots, where MVP was taunting in round 1 and dropped Cannonier. Round 2, more of the same, where MVP was much too elusive, even stumbling Cannonier, where he was too tricky on the feet for Cannonier. However, round 3, MVP stumbled, where he went to the ground, where Cannonier got on top of MVP, smothering him, trying to do damage, but MVP was defensively sound enough not to put himself in danger on the ground, where MVP won a close decision, where he is now up there in the middleweight rankings, with some potential interesting fights next for him at middleweight. However, he has hinted at going back down to welterweight. Next up, a fun welterweight bout where Jeff Neal was taking on Carlos Prates, where they had a super fun scrap on the feet, where the first 2 minutes of the fight, both guys were landing on the feet, with Prates being the more dynamic and damaging with his movements and his range of attacks, where the second half of the first round, Prates was doing more, hurting and damaging Jeff Neal, whose eye was swelling shut, where in the last 10 seconds of round 1, Prates threw a huge elbow and then followed up with a spinning back elbow, which flatlined Jeff Neal in one of the best KOs of the year to get the KO at the horn in an amazing fight and performance by Prates, who shucks off the loss to Ian Gary. Hopefully a huge bout in Brazil next for Prates, as he called out Leon Edwards. The co-main event saw the debuting Aaron Pico fighting one of the best featherweights, the talented Lerone Murphy, who took the bout on 3 weeks notice, where both guys was talking about a bout with Volkanovski with a win. Pico pushed forward from the get-go, where it looked like he rocked Lerone, where he was throwing big while looking for the takedowns, where Murphy survived trying to land offense while Pico was throwing big and pushing forward, with Murphy looking for a huge knee while Pico went for a takedown. With Murphy backing up against the fence, Pico stepped to the side and pressured, and Lerone threw a spinning elbow, flatlining Pico out cold in a monumental win for Murphy, who gets one of the biggest wins of his career and one of the KOs of the year. Amazing stuff for Murphy, who is most likely getting a title shot next. Unlucky for Pico, who looks exciting, just very reckless out there, akin to some of his losses outside the UFC. The main event saw the hyped Khamzat Chimaev taking on one of the best middleweights in recent years, Dricus du Plessis, where many thought it would be Chimaev winning it early, where DDP would take over late. It was nothing of the such, where Chimaev did brilliant in the first round, taking down DDP, smothering and dominating him on the ground, where DDP just fought to survive, who got no offense off in what was a great first round for the Chechen, who mainly controlled the fight with a crucifix. Round 2 was more of the same, where DDP had no answer for Chimaev, who just wet blanketed DDP, where he couldn't find positions for the finish, as DDP did great to survive. Round 3 was the same, where many thought DDP would fight back, but he had nothing for Chimaev, who got another crucifix, landing small shots and elbows to dominate DDP in what many had as a 10-8 round. Round 4, Chimaev again dominated on the ground, putting DDP in his place, where at one point the referee stood them up, where Chimaev again took down DDP. Round 5, DDP needed a finish, where he was taken down early, where eventually he scrambled and ended up on top, looking for the guillotine, where Chimaev popped right out, where he was trying to do work in the guard, where the ref stood them up again, where DDP fought on the feet trying to land something, where Chimaev shot at the end, where DDP stuffed the takedown and had Chimaev's back looking for the choke, but Chimaev grabbed the wrist of DDP and survived to the final bell. Not what we expected for one of the most anticipated fights of 2025, as we wanted more action, but Chimaev did everything he needed to get the win against one of the toughest and most physical middleweights of all time. Credit to Chimaev in one of the best performances of the year, who hopefully turns around in the next 6 months. As for DDP, back to the drawing board, he will need to work his way back to a title shot, which he most likely will be able to do. That brought the end to a great night of fights. Chicago was a great backdrop to the event, where the crowd was great and the fights for the most part delivered. The tough finale on the early prelims was a great bout, and the prelims had fun fights and 3 finishes. The main card opener was a great scrap with a finish from Tim Elliott. MVP left more to be desired. Carlos Prates and Lerone Murphy secured back-to-back spinning elbows and 2 KO of the year contenders. However, the main event was lackluster and a boring fight, but an impressive win from Chimaev. A great card. If we was to grade this card, it gets a B. Overall, a really fun card with amazing fights, finishes and history made. No pay-per-view in September, however. We will be back in October to see if Alex Pereira can defy the odds and get back his belt from Magomed Ankalaev. Did you enjoy the video? Let us know down in the comments below. What did you think of UFC 319 and how would you grade it as a pay-per-view? Put your thoughts down in the comments below. And who do you think can beat Khamzat Chimaev, or is he unbeatable? Let me know your thoughts down in the comments below. Leave a like if you've enjoyed the video, subscribe for more MMA and fight content coming soon. We hope you enjoyed the video and we'll catch you in the next one.